Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And welcome to the members of the public. We welcome you to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. We take note that a full complement of the board is present. The Chief Executive Officer, Interim County Counsel, Executive Officer, and the Sergeant at Arms are all here to assist. Before we begin, I would like to turn it over to Supervisor Solis to lead us in a moment of silence for the victims of Monterey Park mass shooting, and also for her to welcome Erica Moritsugu, Deputy Assistant to President Biden. And we also have some guests with us today. We'd like you to tell us who they are.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm really thankful that you're allowing us to do this at this time. It has been just a tremendous weekend for all of us here as we look at what happened in observation, not just what occurred in Monterey Park, but also in the Half Moon Bay area where there were other lives that were taken. So I would ask for a moment of silence at this time in their honor and memory of those individuals that lost their lives, especially in Monterey Park in our district. So can we take a moment of silence? Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a few statements, if I might, Madam Chair. As we all know, Lunar New Year is one of the most well-known celebrations in the AAPI community. And it is a time for renewal, for resilience, and we know we just actually had a proclamation passed last week to honor this celebration that happens for the next 22 days, I believe, in all of our counties. But today we want to shed light on those individuals that were impacted, and I wanted to express my heartfelt, along with all the board members here, those individuals that we just prayed in silence for, and to first list their names, if I might. So we know Mi Nang, 65, Lillian Lee, 63, Shou Huang, 57, Mui Ong, 67, Jen John, 62, Diana Tom, 70, Yu Cao, 72, Chia Yao, 76, Valentino Alvaro, 68, Wen Yu, 64, Ming Ma, 72. We pray for them and their families and those individuals that still remain in our hospitals and in our care. I also, at this time, Madam Chair, would like to recognize the fact that we work very closely with the city of Monterey Park, and we have our elected officials that are also here. I want to recognize them, the mayor, Henry Lowe, Council Member Thomas Wong, Council Member Veng Nao Go, Alhambra Mayor Adele Andrade Stadler, Council Member Jeff Maloney, Council Member Sasha Perez, Renee Perez. And with us today also our OEM Director, Kevin McGowan. We also have Lisa Wong, our Director of Mental Health, and we also have our coroner examiner, and a representative from the County of Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And I want to thank all of them. And I also wanted to take this moment to welcome Erica Moritsugi, Deputy Assistant to the President of the United States, and AA and NHPI Senior Liaison for the Office of the President as the Chief of Staff. So she is here also to give us some comments. Please.
Thank you so much, Madam Supervisor, and mayors and council members and board members and supervisors and members of the community for sharing this sacred space. I'm honored to be here with you for this moment, in this space, this shared space, to come together as community. I'm here to represent the President, who cares about our community, the ANNHPI community and the local communities here in San Gabriel County, and conveys his and Dr. Biden's deepest condolences, thoughts and prayers, absolutely, but also listening and learning from the local community and the community leaders who are also members of the local community so that we can put it into action and to understand the needs and respond to them. I can't imagine how excruciating it must be, how painful and heartful this must be for those of you who have lost friends and neighbors and aunties and uncles and grandmas and just friends. I share my grief with you as we mourn the tragic death of our brothers and sisters. Please know that we're still aching with you and wanting to stride forward as the recovery process is underway and must continue. It's horrible that this occurred during a time of celebration of the Lunar New Year. But let's remember that the Lunar New Year is a time that's supposed to bring hope. And let's absorb and hold that hope and know that our community is resilient and stronger together, which is one of the reasons why I'm so grateful to be here together with you. Thank you very much.
Yes, we'd like to have Mayor Henry Lau and also Adele Standler representing the mayor of Alhambra to say a few words.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor, and thank you, Board of Supervisors, and everyone here today. The last few days have been trying and challenging times for our community in both Monterey Park and Alhambra, and I know we're all still trying to understand what occurred. Many of us are still in disbelief that this could occur here, but you know, when people ask how we overcome this, and the answer is here, all of us. You know, it's important to remind all those who are hurting, whether immediately if they're a victim or victim's family or just the community, that we're not alone. No one is alone, and we are just one human family, and let's remember that. And you know, there'll be, of course, a long road of recovery, but we know that we won't be doing this alone. And we just thank everyone for your sincere condolences and heartfelt support. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the City Council and all the residents of Alhambra and the leadership, the community-based organizations, all of us are here together to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters from Monterey Park. We are not far. We are so connected in so many ways. And so we too will stand by, ready to do whatever it is we need to do to help our community understand what is going on and begin to heal in their native languages. It's very important that we reach out to them in their Spanish and Chinese languages so that they understand exactly what is occurring and that we're here and we stand by. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one final note. Some of the heroes, you're hearing about them in the news now, the young man who actually helped to prevent more senseless shootings at Alhambra. And Alhambra has been suffering as well, and they're alongside with us, as well as the Monterey Park Police Department. Some of the three first deputies that went in were new, and they were women. And so let us not forget about those individuals that put their life at risk as well. And whenever they're called, they don't turn back. So let's think about all of them. And thank you all. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I thank the audience for this time to reflect. Thank you.
Thank you. And may I just say on behalf of the County of Los Angeles, we are all in mourning. Supervisor Solis, your colleagues are in solidarity with you. And we know that we are offering, all the county resources that you need for your communities where this tragedy unfolded on Sunday. And may I say that watching you, it's very difficult, right? We all sort of woke up with the news, but you were also thrust in the spotlight, and you handled it with such grace and dignity, and we appreciate it. And to Erica, please thank President Biden for his well wishes, for the way he reached out, and I believe he called you, Supervisor Solis. Please tell him thank you, and we're happy that you could come to our board meeting. And to all the elected officials and our county family, we stand with you, we mourn with you, and we did have all of our flags in LA County lowered to half-staff in honor of those who lost their lives.
Can I ask the members to join us?
Yes. You can do whatever you want, Supervisor Solis.
We'll just kind of disperse ourselves in.
It is going to be a long road, but I think it's important for us to reach out to everybody because it's impacted the community. So please know, I mean, I'm one of my sisters going to ready to. How are you? Thank you. In the special Chinese concept, it's hard to get. So we'll figure it out. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Good seeing you. Thank you for being here. Yeah. You take care. Thank you for your notice and everything. You're doing a great job. Oh, thank you. I know it's tough. You've had a baptism by fire. Yeah, I know, but you're standing up. You're doing it. Yeah, we will. Yeah. You take care. Right. Reach out. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Solis, for organizing that moment so that we could, again, all show our support to your communities. We will now begin today's board meeting with the county's land acknowledgement, recognizing land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, the Tataviam, the Serrano, the Quiche, and the Chumash peoples. Play the video. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, the Tataviam, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, the Fernandino Tatavian Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, the Gabrielino Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians, Quiche Nation, the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, the San Fernando Band of Mission Indians. And now the invocation will be led by Apostle Beverly Bam Crawford, the Bible Enrichment Fellowship International Church from the 2nd District, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Karen Kraft, United States Army.
Well, good morning, everyone, and blessings and grace and peace to the city of Los Angeles. I've lived here all my life, and there's no better place to live. I am so thankful, as I know you are as well, to be alive today and all that we've come through in the last few years, but in particularly what our city is going through right now. The blessings to all the Board of Supervisors that are elected and appointed officials, and all the leaders that make this city work. Everyone that works together, embodying their hearts and their understanding, their intellect, their knowledge, and their experience together, so that we as citizens and as clergy and as people of diverse backgrounds can come together and to live the kind of life that we all want, not just for ourselves, but for one another. As a leader for 50 years or so, I've learned, even as a parent, that some things are non-negotiable. There are some things that we just do not bend. But there is a law of flexibility, and that's what I believe was placed in my heart this morning for this meeting. The law and love of flexibility. Flexibility doesn't mean compromising your values, but it does mean sometimes you have to bend a little, and sometimes you have to take a little, and that we all can't have it our way all the time. That is evident by what we see happening here in the city of Los Angeles with our diverse understanding and backgrounds. As a pastor for 50 years, I've learned the meaning of inspiration and mobilization and helping people to move forward. I commend the Board of Supervisors over the years. I've been here before, but every time I come, the prayer for each one and your families is just the honor of integrity and character that you bring to such an office as this. I would be remiss if I did not recognize that they're all women. And so I'd like to say to the women, hats off, okay? That's a great thing. But I believe they were able to communicate and think and negotiate with the flexibility and mindset that is the best that we believe for everyone that is involved. And it's our intent and my intent as a citizen of the city of Los Angeles to add this prayer to the prayers that have already been prayed by so many, as we understand that God has by one blood made all men for to dwell on the face of the earth. And he has already established our bounds and the bounds of our habitation. And so, Father, we thank you and we honor you for the riches of your grace and the power of intellect and wisdom that we see here today. We see, Father, and we decree cooperation and understanding. We see and we encourage every single supervisor and their staff and their teams and everyone that is working here today to make sure that the people that are here are heard, with the spirit of hearing and understanding, that our ears to be circumcised to the point that we would understand what another person means from their heart, not just from their words. That we would be tolerant and patient with one another and show a sense of kindness that you don't always see when there are opposing views. We set aside our opposing views and we find a place where we can agree. As we find a place to agree, then we begin to learn and embrace the things that are important to everybody. I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for this privilege. But most of all, I thank you for the city of Los Angeles, and I thank you for the power of your spirit working in your people today. Every single district to be covered, every single district to maintain a burning passion for those that need us the most, the children and the homeless and the mentally ill, that we would not be negligent in our duty and responsibility to care for the poor, but likewise that we would do those things we know that are fulfilling, and we would always have a conscience that is void of offense before God and before man. And so, Father God, we honor you, we thank you, we bless you for the participants that are in the audience today. We thank you that there is a door of utterance that is open, that they may speak. But most of all, we thank you for the wisdom and the grace of flexibility and love that is coming from this dynamic board of supervisors. For that, we honor you, we thank you for health and life, and we give you the thanksgiving and praise that our character will stand and our integrity shall never fail. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you. And may I ask the audience if you're able to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you. Please place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, colleagues, and to LA County residents. Please join me in welcoming and thanking Apostle Beverly Bam Crawford for that really powerful, timely prayer. I appreciate you deeply. As you heard earlier, Apostle Crawford is the senior pastor and founder of the Inglewood-based Bible Enrichment Fellowship Church International, where she has served for, can I say 33 years out loud? 35. 35 years, and has built a congregation upwards of 2,000 members. Apostle Crawford has become one of the most requested African-American female pastors in the nation's evangelistic community. In 1980, she became the first woman ordained and licensed by Dr. Fred Price. She served at the Crenshaw Christian Center for a decade before leaving to start her own ministry. She is a chancellor and professor at Bible Enrichment School of Theology, where she provides classes and certification to aspiring faith leaders, preparing them to be strong, committed, and effective. She's the author of nearly a dozen books. Apostle Crawford, we thank you for your leadership to the residents of the 2nd District, but to all of LA County, and for giving this morning's timely, heartfelt invocation. Thank you for joining us at the board meeting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I also want to thank First Lieutenant Karen Kraft for delivering the Pledge of Allegiance today. From 1987 to 1993, Karen served in the Army as a First Lieutenant in the 464th Combat Engineers Brigade. First Lieutenant Kraft attended high school in Rochester, New York, obtained a Bachelor of Science in Communications from Ithaca College, a minor in history and ROTC commission from Cornell University, and a master's in film and TV production from American University in Washington, D.C. For a decade, First Lieutenant Kraft has served as a volunteer leader of Veterans in Media and Entertainment, a grassroots nonprofit that connects veterans to jobs, internships, education, and fellowship opportunities in Hollywood. VME has grown to over 5,100 members nationwide, representing veterans from all military branches and all walks of life. In 2022 alone, VME helped over 50 veterans find jobs and internships at Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount, and HBO, including on Amazon's Terminal List and NBC's Quantum Leap, and over half were veterans of diverse backgrounds. Additionally, during the fall of Kabul in 2021, First Lieutenant Kraft and other VME members stood up Operation Snow Leopard, an entirely volunteer-run nonprofit, primarily led by women veterans and military spouses to evacuate at-risk Afghans. The team built and continues to run an underground railroad. Their focus is helping Afghan women leaders, such as members of parliament, judges, doctors, professors, human rights advocates, LGBTQ+ activists, journalists, and interpreters. To date, the team has evacuated and relocated 1,685 deserving Afghans, with a goal to help another 500 in 2023. Of particular note, one of our Afghan friends is currently in an externship at United Talent Agency, and 2 others had their short film nominated for an Oscar. Very impressive. Please join me in thanking First Lieutenant Kraft for her service to our country, for leading us today in our pledge, and for everything that she has done to help other veterans and our Afghan friends in this time of need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. That's for my mom.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're now moving to a presentation. Supervisor Barker has some little friends that she wants to present.
I do.
Very special little friends.
I'm gonna start with Boomy, a 4-month-old male terrier, and came in as a stray, but is incredibly friendly and a little confused. But this is Boomy, and Boomy, oh, Boomy, yes. So Boomy is looking for a forever home, and really sweet, sweet, sweet temperament, and is available. The ID number is A5526942. Which animal care shelter? At the Downey shelter, and I'll give you that number in a minute. But this is Boomy, and last week's puppy was adopted by the 5th District. Well, by Gina, but I'm the godmother. So I will be the godmother of this one if anyone wants to adopt it. I know, it's adorable. Anyway, okay, so this is Boomy, and then, hi Boomy. In honor of Lunar New Year 2023 being the year of the rabbit, we have a rabbit today, and the rabbit's name is Trudy. And Trudy is a 1-year-old female short-hair rabbit. She also came in as a stray in November and is very friendly. You can come over here so everyone can see Boomy. Or no, this is Trudy. And just so that everyone knows, and I didn't realize we have a lot. Do we have a lot of rabbits?
We have quite a few.
Yeah, all rabbit adoption fees are waived throughout the month of January. So you can stop by the Department of Animal Care and Control Center to adopt also at the Downey shelter, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what number can they call? Because I don't have a number in front of me.
Area code 562
562
940
940 6898. And again, if any of y'all are looking to adopt a rabbit, right here, Trudy is available, and then our cute little Boomy is also available, 4-month-old terrier, sweet, and with that, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Barker, for those presentations. With that, we will move on to today's agenda. Executive Officer, please call the agenda.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Today's agenda will begin on page 2, Consent Calendar, Board of Supervisors, items 1 through 17. On item 1, the appointment of Kachana Tate is a nomination by the Director of Mental Health instead of First 5 LA. Also on this item, this includes an addition as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 2, Supervisor Horvath requests that this item be held. On item 3, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 7, Supervisor Barger requests that this item be held. Also, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 9, Supervisor Solis requests that this item be held. On item 12, Supervisor Mitchell requests that this item be held. Also, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 13, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 14, Supervisor Mitchell requests that this item be continued 2 weeks to February 7th, 2023. On page 18, Administrative Matters, items 18 through 43. On item 18, the Chief Executive Officer requests that this item be continued to March 21st, 2023. On item 27, Supervisor Barger requests that this item be held. On item 28, the Director of Public Health requests that this item be continued 2 weeks to February 7th, 2023. On item 31, the Chief Probation Officer requests that this item be continued to February 28th, 2023. On item 32, the Chief Probation Officer requests that this item be referred back to his department. On page 32, this includes miscellaneous additions to the agenda, which were posted more than 72 hours in advance of the meeting, as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 41A, Supervisor Horvath requests that this item be held. On item 41C, Supervisor Barger and Supervisor Mitchell would like to revise their joint motion to remove the Department of Public Social Services from the directive. On item 41D, Supervisor Barger requests that this item be held. On page 33, ordinance for introductions, 44 and 45. On page 34, special district agenda. This is the agenda for the Los Angeles County Development Authority. On item 2D is an addition as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On page 35, notices for closed session. On item CS1, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On page 38, items continue from previous meetings for further discussion and actions by the board. Item A4 is a discussion and consideration of necessary actions related to the county's homeless crisis. On item A4, Supervisor Horvath requests that this item be held. The requests for continuances and refer back through A4 are before you.
Okay, moved by Supervisor Solis, seconded by Supervisor Horvath to approve these items, and that will be the order.
That completes the reading of the agenda, Madam Chair.
Members of the public, a matter that needs to be discussed in closed session at this time has come to our attention. We will return to open session as soon as possible. At that time, we will begin with 41A, then followed by items A4, 2, 7, 9, and 12, and ending with items 27 and 41D that will be taken up together, which were held by supervisors, and ending with the remaining items not held by the board and general public comment. Before going into closed session, Executive Officer, please call those members of the public who wish to speak on item CS2, Department Head Performance Evaluation.
For members of the public wishing to participate remotely, as indicated on the agenda, please call 877-226-8163 and use participant code number 1336503. For those who wish to address item CS2, Department Head Performance Evaluation, please press 1, then 0 at this time. You will have the opportunity to address the board on all other agenda and closed session items later in the meeting. We will begin by calling in-person speakers on CS2, Department Head Performance Evaluations, and while they're coming forward, we will take public telephonic speakers.
Will Herman, Mike Greenspan, and Red Chief Hunt please come forward and staff will assist you. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Our first participant is Lily Dorn. You may begin. Lily Dorn, you may begin.
Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, there are no additional speakers in queue to address the board.
Okay. Did we lose Lily? Was that call got
Still
dropped?
queued up. Ms. Dorn, if you can check your mute button, make sure you're not muted.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was double muted there. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Okay. My name is Lily Dorn, and I am providing general public comment and speaking in support of item 9 on the agenda today.
Lily, this is not the time for general public comment or on that item. That will be later in the agenda. This is just on closed session department head evaluation. So you'll have to stay on and come back when we're doing general public comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Mike Greenspan, the Jew who won't go back to Florida, you anti-Semitic, anti-Christ Catholics. Now, there's something that I do have to talk about. Conference with labor negotiators. Some of my favorite unions are here.
That's also not, that's not what we're doing right now. This is just CS2, public department head evaluation. You'll have an opportunity to speak on that later, Mike.
Okay.
Okay.
Emergency services representative. Gee whiz.
No.
We have to have more people working for the sheriffs. Don't we have enough?
No, that's not it either.
That's on CS. Oh, excuse me. My bad.
CS2.
Okay. Oh, legal counsel. Yes, more attorneys. I should go to court and see some of these cases. They should be interesting. How much are we paying these overpriced attorneys?
Okay, that's also not CS2.
Well,
keep going, and you might hit it. You might hit it finally.
Well, you said CS. Yeah.
On this side. See if these parentheses are last.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Wait.
Your time is up. Your time is up. Okay, your time is up, Mike. You can come back, though, and speak later.
So how do we negotiate labor negotiations? Well, we definitely don't want to bring
we're not talking about
to this
labor
political arena under CS2.
No, not labor negotiations.
Yeah, we're talking about conference with negotiations, CS2.
No, department head evaluation.
Please look at 35A, page 35A.
Well, fuck the department head. I'm on page 51. It says CS2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation.
That was last week's agenda.
Well,
page 35A.
You provided me with this fucking agenda this morning, and it's not up to date.
All right.
I got 20 seconds.
Okay.
If you're going to provide me with information, you provide it to the time that is presented now. Not later, because it sounds kind of stupid, ignorant, and some idiot attorney sits there and doesn't want to explain.
Hold on. Is that the right agenda that we're providing people with?
It is.
Then what seems to be the confusion?
It's a different
Supervisor,
yes.
On page 42.
Yes.
On page 42, it lists last week's January 17th closed session with no reportable action that we placed on the agenda.
I see. It's just reporting what we did last week.
Correct.
Okay, so your time's up. When you come back another time, you can
I had
speak.
9 seconds, Mommy. Janet, what's wrong with you?
Thank you very much. Are there other members in the public?
Then I'm submitting this into the record, and I want it to be
fine.
put on this item regarding that jackass Jose Huizar.
Thank you. Chief Red Hunt.
Chief Hunt, thank you, Madam Chair. The evaluations are so important. We've seen it with the probation officer when he came and didn't know what de-escalation means. So I'm all in favor. I think we need to do more evaluations on the department heads. I totally agree in closed sessions. I hope you guys get something accomplished. Red Chief Hunt.
Thank you. Are there other speakers in the room? No?
No other speakers.
Okay, is there any other speakers on the phone? Okay, at that time, Executive Officer, please read us into closed session.
In accordance with Run Act requirements, notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors will convene in closed session to discuss item CS2, Department Head Performance Evaluation. Thank you.
The board is currently in closed session. They will return to open session once closed session has ended.
Okay, we are now back in open session. Thank you for the patience of our public. And the report of action will be read at the end of the meeting for all closed session items. So we're rearranging a little bit, but we will now begin with items A4, 2, 7, 9, and 12. Then items 27 and 41D, which will be taken up together, and ending with 41A. And the remaining items not held by the board and general public comment. Did we get that right?
That is correct, Supervisor.
Okay. Yes. We will begin with item A4.
Supervisor, before we start, can I play the code of conduct and read these?
Well, I was just going to, Supervisor Solis wanted me to repeat it. So let's see if I can repeat it in the same order. So we'll be items A4, 2, 7, 9, and 12. Then 27 and 41D, which will be taken up together, and ending with 41A, and the remaining items not held by the board and general public.
Right, and Madam, I lifted the item 10, so
Right,
I'm not reporting, I'm not holding that.
right, thank you. Okay, now, Executive Officer, please play the code of conduct before we begin with our held items. And read the call-in information that was also provided on the agenda and explain the speaking rules.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? The meeting of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is about to commence. A code of conduct will now be read, and we request that you comply with it to ensure the efficient administration of the meeting. Members of the public, it is your right to participate in today's board hearing, and the board encourages such participation. However, the right of the public to address the board must be balanced with the need to ensure that public comment does not interfere with the orderly course of the board's business. All are reminded to abide by the following rules. Speakers must cease speaking immediately when their time has ended. Public comment on agenda items must relate to the subject matter of that item. General public comment is limited to subjects within the jurisdiction of the board. Public comment does not include the right to engage in a dialogue with board members or staff. Please remain respectful of the forum and refrain from uttering, writing, or displaying profane, personal, threatening, derogatory, demeaning, or other abusive statements toward the board, any member thereof, staff, or any other person. Members of the audience should be respectful of the views expressed by speakers, staff, and board members, and may not clap, cheer, whistle, or otherwise disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. Any person engaging in conduct that disrupts the meeting is subject to being removed from the board meeting. And finally, if you witness conduct or behavior by other members of the public that disrupts your ability to remain engaged or participate in this meeting, please notify the Sergeant at Arms or other county staff. Thank you for your cooperation.
Now I will read in the call-in information. For members of the public wishing to participate remotely, as indicated on the agenda, please call 877-226-8163 and use participant code number 1336503. Members of the public participating remotely and in the boardroom, you will have the opportunity to address the board throughout the meeting. You will receive 1 minute to address the board on items held by the supervisors and up to a total of 3 minutes on all remaining items in general public comment, for a total of 6 minutes for this meeting. Please monitor your time and the items you are signing up for, as your name will not be called once your time has elapsed. For members of the public joining us remotely, when the board moves to the item you wish to address, please press 1 and then 0 to be entered into the speaking queue. Remember to turn down the volume on your devices as soon as the moderator calls on you, or there will be an echo. You will need to press 1, then 0 for each item on which you would like to speak on. To ensure we hear from both in-person telephonic speakers, we will alternate between the 2 speaking queues. Members of the public who are in attendance, when you hear or see your name displayed on the screen, please come down to the front of the boardroom and staff will assist you. Please do not approach the podium until directed to do so. We will begin by calling in-person speakers, and while they're coming forward, we will take telephonic speakers.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to item A4, discussion and consideration of necessary actions relating to the county's homeless crisis, which was held by Supervisor Horvath. And for members of the public on the telephone, please press 1, then 0 now to comment on this item. We will first hear from Fezia Davenport, and then, or Supervisor Horvath, would you like to kick it off? Okay, and then you can, and then we'll go to you for first comments.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and good morning, Board of Supervisors. This is an update on where we are on the declaration of emergency regarding homelessness. So on January 10th, your board adopted a motion proclaiming a declaration of emergency related to homelessness. That motion had a number of directives in it, and one of the directives instructed my office to come back in 14 days to identify the authorities that were needed to help county departments basically move faster in doing all the things that need to be done to service people experiencing homelessness. Essentially, the motion directed us to identify what are the specific authorities in our county rules, in our ordinances, to help us contract faster, hire faster, spend down dollars faster, and provide services faster. So we issued our report very late yesterday, but I wanted to give you a highlight of what's in that report today, and we will also individually walk your offices through the contents of that report. Just in terms of setting the context of the work that the report actually sets out the context of all the work that has been done to date, and it also provides some statistical information regarding our unsheltered homeless population. We have identified and are proposing for this emergency 3 missions. The first mission is encampment resolution, which I'll talk about more later. The second relates to housing, and then the third mission relates to mental health and substance use services. On the encampment resolution mission, the goal here is to work closer with our cities and our councils of government to develop what we're calling hyper-local plans to engage in encampment resolution. What does that mean? What it means is that we want to work closer to take a hands-on approach, work with cities so that we can identify a problem, or who often can identify what their issues are, but may not have a very good sense of what can be done to address the encampment in their local areas, or what resources are available to help them do it. So we want to be a thought partner with them, provide some resources, including funding, a limited amount of funding to make that happen. The Homeless Initiative is not currently staffed or structured to engage in that work at scale across the county, and so in our next report that is due on next Tuesday, we'll come back to your board with a staffing plan on how we can staff up the Homeless Initiative to actually double down on encampment resolution with all of our cities. The second mission is the housing mission. The goal here is to continue to increase housing, both interim and permanent housing. We know that the county needs to streamline its internal processes, eliminate unnecessary levels of review that don't add value to the process. And although this mission is far more complex, in a nutshell, we want to work with cities who want to partner. We provide the services. We need the cities to identify housing sites and locations where we can stand up housing or shelters. The third mission I refer to is mental health and substance use services. Here, the goal is to provide field-based mental health and substance use disorder assessments with outreach workers and interim housing providers so that assessments can be made in real time or near real time at the point of contact. We know that there is a shortage of mental health providers doing this work, so we need to incentivize this work. We need to help our mental health department hire faster in order to meet this mission. So those are the 3 missions included in our report. We also are recommending and intend to take what we're calling a whole of county approach. And so what does that mean? What that means is, to the extent that we are legally able to do so, we propose that our health and safety net departments prioritize services for unsheltered persons experiencing homelessness. Specifically, we propose that under the declaration of emergency, with all things being equal between 2 constituents seeking services, and if legally permissible to do so, that county health and social safety net departments prioritize the person experiencing homelessness, unless doing so would exacerbate our homelessness problem in the county or jeopardize the life or health of others. We have also included in our report our communication plan. So this work has already started pursuant to a prior motion on the Blue Ribbon Commission on Homelessness, where we are more proactively engaging with our cities, our councils of government. So we want to leverage that work. We want to make sure that our cities know what the plan is. We want to make sure that they understand what their role is in that plan, roles and responsibilities. And then we also want to identify where the opportunities are for us to collaborate. So, so the report also includes an attachment. It's about 7 pages long with the recommended authorities and the changes to county ordinance that we need in order to implement the emergency declaration. We are calling those first wave solutions, because as we work with the county departments over the last 10 days or so, we have a plethora of recommendations, and we can't do everything at once. Otherwise, we will dilute our strength. And so we are identifying these as the essential first wave authorities that we need to move forward, but we will continue to work through and vet the others as we move along in the process. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Horvath.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Madam CEO. I want to thank you and all of the relevant staff who are involved in this state of emergency action, and thank you for staying on your proposed schedule, meeting the 14-day reporting timeline, and for keeping us up to date. I know we all just got your update later yesterday, and with the sizable agenda we have today, I thought maybe it would be helpful for all of us to have time to digest not only what you sent us, but what you shared here with us today. I know that you will need us to take action to move forward what you are requesting, but I also understand next Tuesday there will be another update, so perhaps we could hold that action to next Tuesday, do something in open session before we go into closed session next Tuesday, so we all have the benefit of digesting what you've shared with us last night and today, if that's okay with my colleagues. Yes? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and just want to say thank you, Fija, for that update. I know I speak for my colleagues. We want to make sure that you and your team have all the tools that you need to be successful as we address this crisis. It's only been 2 weeks since we declared our state of emergency on homelessness, and already much has happened. Yesterday, I joined Mayor Bass and Supervisor Horvath and members of the LAHSA Commission in announcing the new executive director of LAHSA, Dr. Felicia Adams-Kellum. And it does feel like, for the first time in a long time, the city and the county are working together. I know we have several lawsuits out there that are trying to make us work together, but this actually feels different. That we have new leadership and a new spirit of can-do when it comes to addressing this crisis. And I think seen how closely, Fezia, you are working with the city is, I think, the only way that it's going to really begin to make a difference. And we're going to be, as you said, marshaling resources, bringing down barriers. And a lot of that has to do with, I think, being able to hire quickly, contract quickly, so that we can, make sure that those who are sleeping on our streets can come inside. So with the recommendations listed in this report, again, we look forward to contracting faster, hiring faster, and making housing available faster. Thank you. Any of my colleagues want to speak on that one? Okay. Executive Officer, please call the members of the public that have signed up to speak on this item.
Will Gregory Esri, Herman, Mike Greenspan, Patricia McAllister, and Red Chief Hunt please come forward and staff will assist you. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Our first participant is Kai Ho. You may begin.
And I would like to just say that I understand that homelessness is a severe problem in all of Los Angeles County, but making landlords house people for free is not the answer. You're only going to make the homelessness problem worse, because then people like me, small landlords, are going to just take their properties off their market and take their business elsewhere. We can't support another person. We have bills to pay just like you do. Let me put it in a way that you would understand as an Angelino. All the credits that roll at the end of a movie? Well, that's how many people it takes to provide housing. You have people in all the trades, and then all the people to finance it, and all the people to do work and pay for the utilities. And when someone just comes by and says that they can't pay just because of COVID or whatever excuse they have, it shouldn't be the burden of the landlord to provide it for free. You need to provide an answer to provide them money.
Thank you. And I want to make sure everybody, I feel like you might have been talking on 41A. So we're on A4, the discussion and consideration of necessary actions relating to the county's homeless crisis. 41A about tenant protections is later in the agenda. So just going to make that clear. All right, next speaker, please.
Our next participant is Roy. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. And something that the board has failed to address, and I did with Supervisor Solis's representative, and that is the transients. You break this categories down. They're homeless because that's their lifestyle. And what do you do with those? So what about those who refuse to take aid from the county and so on? What is the disposition on those? That's a critical issue, and there's a large portion of it if we found at the Rolling Heights and the community meeting there. You failed to address that in this quote homeless situation to break it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next participant is Genevieve Claveriol. Please, you may begin.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Did we lose that last caller? All right, well, maybe we can.
Your line is still open.
Yes. Anyway, I am very glad to hear that last have had a new director, but things are not going to change. And it should have been better to have had a consultant to clean the house first, because no matter what that new director is going to do, it's not going to be successful. But I am hoping that things are going to change, and we need to have a big change. But thank you for your motion. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve. Next speaker, please.
Our next participant is Hector Ramirez. You may begin.
Buenos dias. My name is Hector Ramirez. I'm a consumer of Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and a resident of Chasters. I really want to applaud the board in this particular motion in partnering with the city and the mayor. Los Angeles County has the largest population of people with disabilities in the country, and you'll find my peers either in jails or unhoused on the streets, many of which are really struggling to access appropriate mental health services that are both trauma-informed and culturally responsive. And so I really applaud the motion. But again, as a consumer, I really want to caution the county to really not make any decisions that will negatively impact the health of me and my peers who have been getting services or have struggled to get services. In my clinic, we haven't been able to get, for many of our consumers, psychiatric services for our Latino community because we have a significant shortage of Spanish psychiatrists. Similarly, our deaf and hard of hearing haven't been able to get appropriate services for the past 4 years because of a lack of sign language interpreters and providers that are ASL or deaf or hard of hearing. Similarly, our LGBTQIA community has been in significant crisis because of a lack of services from the Department of Mental Health. So really, I want to also just highlight that we're also dealing with significant mental health crisis for our youth and children. So as you really go on and do this task, to really be cautious both of the state and federal mandates.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Providing services
Thank
to
you.
people.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next participant is Ricardo Pimienta. You may begin.
I'm sorry. I'm calling in for the eviction stop moratorium. I'm opposed to that, but I'm on the wrong one. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're, just hang on and we'll get to you later in the meeting. Thank you. Next speaker on A4.
Our next participant is the Gus Report. You may go ahead. Please begin.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear
nice.
you.
Yeah, danielgus.substack.com. And most read column of the year was about 3 deaths on 1 block in Sherman Oaks. And the city, Nithya Raman's spokesperson, emailed me yesterday blaming this on the county. She said the county doesn't have enough funds for this. Are you kidding me? You've had tens of or hundreds of millions or tens of billions of dollars. So why does the city of Los Angeles Council District 4 claim that the city is not getting enough resources from the county? On Sunday, after I reported about 3 deaths on a single block on Van Nuys, between Ventura and Moore Park in Sherman Oaks, there was a guy on the roof of the gas station at the corner making death threats, requiring the whole corner to be shut down, a huge response from the LAPD and LAFD. I guess the question is, why does the city blame the county? Why does the county blame the city?
Thank you.
And what's happening to my
district? Thank you for calling in. Next speak. Oh, now we're coming in person. Hello. Good morning.
My name is Greg Essery. God sent me here to tell you there's only one solution to the homeless. It's urban campgrounds. It's the only solution. You can't, like a famous politician said, the homeless are too valuable of a commodity to house. You guys stop kind of using the homeless, put them in, build campgrounds like they got in Arizona, let them sleep, shit, shave, and store their stuff in a place that's safe. And then put wraparound services right there. This is the only answer. You spending billions of dollars, taxing everybody is not the answer. Get some land to contractors, let them build it cheap, and build campgrounds. Look at Arizona, Bullhead City. That's the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Mike.
Mike Greenspan, the Jew who won't go back to Florida. And I'm staying out here, and I won't be homeless. Now, couple things. I look around, I see apartments being built. What kind of apartments? Luxury apartments. Who on the street's gonna go from a tent to a luxury apartment? I just don't get it. Now, we used to have those red, white, and blue federal HUD housing signs. I haven't seen a one around here. Back 10, 12 years ago, it was easy to get senior housing through, just rubber stamp it. Well, now it's luxury apartments. And there's this big old building. It's over there on 1st Street and Grand. And I was driving someone around, I said, and I know that that's not housing for the homeless. Yeah, you guys are using the homeless issue as a cash cow. Moo! Because that's all you're doing is using them. I said, if that thing is housing for the homeless, I'll go suck Fauble's dick.
Okay, next speaker, please. Oh, dear.
Well, in this crisis, I don't plan to suck any dick because in the United States versus Bagdasarian, Obama fucked us for 4 years. And the crisis never stopped. The crisis never end. And then we got that dumb 46th president offering you guys more cash like a big cow. Moo! And what are you doing? You're picking leaves off the tree like it exists as money. And it's right. They don't care about any one of you. In 3 months, some of you are going to be living on the street. Blame it on HHH, Measure H. Blame it on this council. Blame it on the United States versus Bagdasarian for the record. Miss Attorney, don't take my content out of place. 42 U.S.C. 1983, politely. Let's save America again. Yeah.
Okay,
Fuck you.
your time is up. Next speaker, please.
Patricia McAllister. I've been coming to these meetings for about 8 years now, and for 8 years you've been talking about the homeless. We have 60,000 black people living on Skid Row, and I've never heard you one time mention black people. In fact, you women a month ago mentioned why you want to find out how many Latinos are homeless. This is pure racism. I don't know what you're doing with this money, but I suspect that it's being embezzled. The county and the city. We used to come here 4 times a month. Now you cut us down to 2 times a month and then put people on the phone here to give you compliments. We want our time here. The money, we want it spent on my people, black people, okay? We built this nation. You foreigners need to go home, all right? And I want my people off of Skid Row, and that's your job, young lady. You came to my church when you were running. And I said, if you didn't do your job to help your black people, every time you come to this meeting, you should say the word, my people, black people, Miss Mitchell.
Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please. And we're asking everybody in the audience to refrain from clapping. If you agree with the speaker, you can just raise your hands, and we can see that. Okay, Red Chief Hunt.
Yes, the Red Chief Hunt. I've been through 3 of these programs, and we always seem to get the statistics right, but not the logistics. That's a major problem. The problem is that the FMR rates are way too low. $1,800 for a $2,500 apartment, it doesn't match. 20 years we've been going through this. 20 whole years we've been going through this homeless crisis. Nobody, the rocket scientists can't figure it out. I figured it out. Either we're gonna have to claim eminent domain on 1/3 of all the new structures, or raise the FMR rates to $24.50 so that people can live. Now, the people that can't live in the community, like you said, they need encampments. I totally agree with that. A lot of people can't live in 4 walls, but we need to raise the FMR rates. I've been through 3 programs. You know, a lot of them programs are not legitimate. You know, they say services, but not.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Asael Roblero.
Good morning, my name is Asael Roblero.
Yo vengo a hablar por las enfermedades mentales y las crisis de la calle.
I'm here to speak on mental health as well as the street crisis.
¿Cómo piensan arreglar lo de los homeless cuando la mayoría de ellos tienen enfermedades mentales? En mi caso personal, yo tengo un hijo con una enfermedad mental. Cuando yo llamo a Access, a veces toma hasta 8 horas, hasta días en responder una crisis, que una enfermedad es la que los lleva a ellos a terminar en las calles y en adicciones.
I would like to know how you're going to fix the issue with the homelessness and also mental illness. As for me, I have a personal story. I have a son with mental illness, and every time I call Access, it takes about 8 hours to a day to receive anything, and where this mental illness can also affect them and they can become homeless.
Sí existen los programas y los recursos, pero yo siento que no están funcionando.
The programs do exist and the resources as well, but I feel that they're not being effective.
Y no creo que sea justo que ellos terminen en la cárcel por tener una enfermedad mental.
And I don't think it's fair that they end up in jail for having a mental illness.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Oh, no more? Okay, seeing that there are no other comments, either in person or on the phone, item A4 is a receive and file, and hearing no objections, that will be the order. We will now move to item 2, response to increase in anti-Semitic incidents, which was held by Supervisor Horvath. For members of the public on the telephone, please press 1, then 0 now to comment on this item, item 2. Supervisor Horvath.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you to my colleagues for their consideration of this item. As we know, Jewish communities in Los Angeles, the United States, and around the world have long endured anti-Semitic attacks of all kinds. And over the last several years, anti-Semitism has been on the rise, including many high-profile incidents right here at home. Each year, the Anti-Defamation League tracks incidents of anti-Semitic harassment, vandalism, and assault in the United States, and in 2021, there was a 34% increase in incidents, which was the highest number on record since the ADL began tracking these incidents in 1979. Most alarming were incidents of anti-Semitic assault, which increased by 167% nationwide. Los Angeles County saw similar troubling increases in incidents of hate in 2021. According to the county's Commission on Human Relations, religious crimes spiked by 29% in 2021, and the rate of violence was the highest on record. Notably, 74% of those attacks targeted Jewish individuals. And for the first time in the Commission's tracking of hate incidents, anti-Semitic hate crime was a top target of Middle East-related hate crimes. In the past, such reported crimes were primarily anti-Muslim or Middle Eastern, but in 2021, all of these reported crimes were anti-Jewish, and we know many more go unreported. Across American culture, politics, and business, expressions of anti-Semitism have grown louder in recent years, and there has been a rise in white supremacist and right-wing extremist groups which have targeted the Jewish community. Over the last several years, there have also been a number of high-profile anti-Semitic incidents right here in Los Angeles County, including the horrific display of anti-Semitic messages on the 405 freeway overpass in October, which we've all seen those reports, vehicles with anti-Semitic messages, harassment of individuals in public. We've seen leafleting throughout various communities that include high concentrations of Jewish communities, and numerous incidents of anti-Semitic flyers found at their homes, on cars, and in public. All anti-Semitic attacks are disturbing, and the recent increase in incidents is even more disturbing. Our Jewish communities should not be forced to endure anti-Semitism in the first instances, including continual harassment, physical violence, and disturbing incidents at important community institutions such as synagogues, schools, and community centers. At a time of heightened aggression towards the Jewish community, we must work with the community to take steps to reduce and ultimately eliminate anti-Semitism. In partnership with law enforcement, we must also take immediate steps to protect the Jewish community from these continued threats. And so today, I'm asking our partners in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department to provide a report back to our board on the number of anti-Semitic incidents that have been reported to the department over the last 5 years, and the actions it is taking in response to the rise in anti-Semitic incidents. This report back will then lead to further community coordination and action, and ultimately community safety plans that codify and institutionalize protections for our Jewish community going forward with the participation of our Jewish community members. This information and discussion is critical in ensuring the safety of the Jewish community here in Los Angeles and all who visit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to thank the authors of this motion for bringing it forward, and to thank again LA versus Hate for the community-driven approaches that empower Angelenos to unite against, report, and resist hate. You know, it's really important that we fight all forms of racism, anti-Blackness, anti-Semitism, whether born of ignorance or bigotry. And since as a legislative body, we can't legislate morality, I think it's therefore, all the more important that we continue to educate and provide safe spaces for hard conversations about these systemic issues to take place. Appreciate that Sheriff Luna is going to be a partner in this work, and we look forward to reading the report back on the measures that can be taken to ensure that our Jewish brothers and sisters are safe, and we continue to elevate the issue around race-based, culture-based, religion-based hate, and take a strong stand as a county. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Barger.
Thank you, and thank you, Supervisor Horvath, for bringing this motion in. I think it's important because Los Angeles is home to many diverse communities, and I know that this has impacted my communities in my district, in my hometown. The dangerous rhetoric targeting the Jewish community, which comes on the heels of increased crimes against the Asian American Pacific Islander community, is a reminder that this exists as we speak in our backyards. One of the best ways to combat hate is to show solidarity for those being attacked. Truly, that is the way that you show that we will stand together and not condone this. Together, we truly are stronger. The county offers free educational tools, bystander training, and then the option to dial 211 as a way to confidentially report hate crimes. As we come together for the Holocaust Remembrance Day, we reaffirm our commitment to stand up for those in need and never sit silently when those beside us are persecuted. Stopping hate means empowering everyone to do their part. And so I recognize that it seems as though lately it's just getting worse. And we have to do more than simply use words. We have to show action. And I know as a board, this entire board stands ready to support not only those in the Jewish community, but across the board. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Supervisor Solis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Supervisor Horvath, for bringing this forward. It's extremely important. As we opened up our meeting this morning, we talked about what we have experienced in terms of mass shootings and things that we know should not be normal. And I can't agree with you more on this motion. We have to do much, much more and protect all of our vulnerable populations, including homeless, including African American, AAPI, LGBTQ+, and others, and disabled communities as well. We see too much hurt out there. And I know that we closed out the last year with awful and shameful acts that we saw occurring in your area. Anti-Semitic flyers were dispersed in the northern part of Beverly Hills. And I have known that hate groups hung a banner over a busy freeway with anti-Semitic remarks, which is just intolerable. I know these things pop up in our district too. We saw signs like that in some of our communities in the 1st District, which should not have existed. Last year, we were on a pace to surpass a record of anti-Semitic incidents, a 28% increase compared to 2021. And aside from gathering additional data and identifying trends, we need to see what actions and strategies our law enforcement agencies are employing. So I'm glad that you're pointing that out. And yes, it's good that the sheriff and other city public safety departments need to be a part of that as well. We're very familiar, as you know, with the work of the Commission on the Human Relations body through the LA versus Hate campaign, which this board started, that I was very much a part of. And we're grateful to the many service providers who work alongside with them to help expand those resources. So I am very happy to support this motion and remain committed alongside you and my colleagues to protecting our communities from hate, and will support efforts to push back on that hate. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I too want to thank Supervisor Horvath for this motion. As we approach Holocaust Remembrance Day this Friday, and as our community and our county heals from the senseless tragedy that took place in Monterey Park over the weekend, we know in real live terms what someone with hate and a gun can do. It has deadly consequences. And it's impossible to not talk about the rise of anti-Semitism when we witness any kind of violence. And this motion not only captures and elevates the rise of anti-Semitism that is taking place within our county, but it also asks to work with our Sheriff's Department to report back on the number of hate incidents that they have captured and for a report on what measures are being facilitated to keep the Jewish community safe. I know that most Jewish temples and synagogues have had to install highly sophisticated security measures, which I think most churches of faith do not have to do. But it's something that they live with on a weekly basis. And it's also important for the public to know that while we do have our Human Relations Commission, we have county agencies, we have key community partners, we have LA versus Hate, we have our Sheriff's Department. It's important for the general public to know that if you have experienced a hate incident or a hate crime, or if you have witnessed it or seen it or know of it, report it immediately. And it was already said in LA County, you can call 211 to file and report as a victim, a witness, or advocate for a victim of hate crime, hate act, or bullying. And to make the distinction that a hate incident, which is a non-criminal act that involves bias, prejudice, or hatred, can and should be reported too. And the more data that our county can capture, the more that it can help prevent and prosecute these hate crimes. We've learned too recently the impact that hate crimes have on all of us, and the more that we can do to prevent these incidents and crimes, the more we can work towards a community where no one is forced to live in fear of being attacked, persecuted, or targeted. And we want our Jewish brothers and sisters to know that we stand in solidarity with them to fight this anti-Semitism anywhere and anyhow we see it or find it.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
I also wanted to acknowledge with us here today is the Executive Director of our Los Angeles County Commission on Human Relations to offer comment, as well as representatives from some of our community partner organizations, including the Anti-Defamation League, the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles, the American Jewish Committee, Israeli American Civic Action Network, and others, and I know that they'll be testifying here today. Thank you.
Is Robin here to speak on this item?
He's on the line, Supervisor, on the public comment line.
Okay. And all of these that you just mentioned are already in the queue?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Executive Officer, please call those members of the public who've signed up to speak on this item.
Madam Chair, there are callers in the speaking queue who have signed up for other items other than item A2. As a reminder, we are only taking public comment on item 2 at this time. Go ahead.
Well, Dan Ear, Dylan Hosier, Herman, Jeffrey Abrams, Joanna Mendelson, Mike Greenspan, Patricia McAllister, Red Chief Hunt, and Richard Hershot, please come forward and staff will assist you. For our members of the public on the telephone line, please press 1, then 0 now to be put in the queue to speak on this item. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Our first participant is Dr. Genevieve Clarell. Please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. I am very pleased with this motion. But one of the big problems we're having when we have people in the Congress and so on who are anti-Semite and express that You know, that's what makes it difficult, but that's a great motion. Thank you for doing it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next participant is Lydia Ponces. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I apologize. I had set myself to speak on the item previously, and I don't even know how you could see that no one was waiting to speak on cue on the phone. This is my first time using this particular format, and if you push 10 twice, then you end up taking yourself off the queue, which I didn't do. I really wanted to share what my thoughts were on the agenda item previous, and if I can segue to what this is here right now, I think that.
Go ahead. I mean, go ahead, and we're sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead and speak on what you want to speak on.
You got to wait a little bit longer in order to have people respond. Anyways, I appreciate you having this dialogue here about the unhoused. However, in Venice, California, we had torrential rains, sheets of rain all over Los Angeles, and Venice was not spared. At 4 a.m. in the morning, Tracy Parks ordered an assault on unhoused people and forced them out of their tents. They had to sign documents that they were under duress. I don't think that's legal. It was in the dark. And again, we had people who are already asleep, slumbering. Some of them were employed and lost their employment since. They were removed and displaced, human trafficked to Imperial Highway and Western Avenue. And so I beg that the county, I know some of you really well, and been reading and following the things that you write, and I've been listening a lot, and I've been quiet. I'm asking you to please call in the community who work directly to help feed the unhoused.
Thank you.
Please meet with us.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker, and we're just so there's no confusion, we're on item 2, response to increase in anti-Semitic incidents. Okay, next speaker on the phone.
Our next participant is Robin Poma. You may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. This is Robin Poma, the Executive Director of the County's Human Relations Commission. And first, I just wanted to join Supervisor Solis and the board and everyone really as we deal with the collective shock and sorrow about the violence in Monterey Park. I wanted to say that since the day after the shootings, not knowing whether the violence was hate motivated or not, our staff convened dozens of community-based and government agencies to coordinate efforts to direct assistance to the victims and their survivors and their families and loved ones, but also to really help the community cope with and heal from this horrible tragedy, and to bring together the various communities targeted by hate and part of our rapid response network to respond together. I'm also speaking in support of item 2, Supervisor Horvath's motion, for several reasons. First, because we as the commission that tracks hate crime data in our county, we know the reality of anti-Semitic hate crime in our county. And in our annual report, we've seen year after year that the Jewish community is the target, vast majority of religious hate crime.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Time is up.
Okay.
But we appreciate your comments. Next speaker, please. And we don't need to hear from the audience. We're watching the clock, so we don't need to hear from you when someone's time is up. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our next participant is Maya Williams. You may begin.
Hi, how you doing? I just wanted to let you guys know that we have been dealing with hate for almost about 50 years, and back then of what's going on now. We see the police killing Black African American people. We see them going into the low-income communities, stopping them, jacking them up, doing everything. They are the biggest gang. What are you guys going to do for the Black African Americans? What are you guys going to do for the Mexicans, the Asians, everybody? It's not just the color. We are all human. We all bleed the same. We all die. So what is the problem with helping everybody? Everybody is under attack. And most importantly, our children are under attack. Our children are being grabbed up out of our home, placed into foster care, jails, being raped.
Thank you.
Beaten.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Let's go here in person. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Jeffrey Abrams. I'm the Los Angeles Regional Director for ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. Recently, we have seen a concerning rise in reporting hate crimes throughout Los Angeles County and across the country. This includes a troubling increase in the number of anti-Semitic hate crimes and anti-Semitic hate incidents. As noted in the motion, and thank you, Supervisor Horvath, for your leadership, in 2021, ADL recorded 2,717 anti-Semitic incidents, the highest number since we began this report in 1979. A recent ADL survey found that 1 in 5 Americans held widespread beliefs in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and tropes. ADL is proud to be a long-term partner of the county in fighting hate, particularly through the LA versus Hate initiative. ADL is here to provide hate crime data and statistics on anti-Semitic hate crimes and anti-Semitic incidents. We urge and thank the supervisors, all of you, for your support of this important motion.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Richard Hirschout. I'm the Los Angeles Director of American Jewish Committee. The numbers don't lie. They are staggering. The American Jewish Committee has conducted numerous surveys that are effectively an attitudinal corollary to the remarkable, excellent audits that the Anti-Defamation League has produced. We will soon release our 4th annual survey, and the top-line findings show that some 41% of Jews feel less secure about their status in the U.S. compared to just 1 year ago. That a quarter of Jews surveyed say they've been targeted by anti-Semitism in the last year, some of those physical attacks. That 4 in 10 Jews have altered their behavior in public because of their fear of being perceived as Jewish. This resolution is an important first step in meeting this moment of rising anti-Semitism.
Thank you very much. I know a minute is so fast, and you have such a good, if you would like to get us the rest of your comments so that we can read them and digest some of those horrifying statistics, we would appreciate that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all.
For being here. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. I'm Joanna Mendelson. I'm the Senior Vice President with the Jewish Federation. Thank you so much for your beautiful words and support and allyship with the Jewish community and shining a light against anti-Semitism. The past several months have proven to us that much needs to be done to fight the growing anti-Semitism across America and here in Los Angeles. As a federation who is responsible for the Jewish community, we understand that our collective mission to stand up to the harmful prejudices and stereotypes which at times are translated into action targeting the Jewish community is more critical than ever. Our recent comprehensive study on the Jewish LA shows that 9 out of 10 adults in the Jewish community are concerned about anti-Semitism, and that close to 1 in 5 Jewish adults in LA indicated that they personally experienced anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is an age-old hatred that has existed for thousands of years, taking different forms. So its existence continues to threaten our civic fabric of our nation and requires that we as a community respond with clarity and purpose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next speaker, please.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair, Supervisors. My name is Dylan Hosier. I serve as the CEO at the Israeli-American Civic Action Network. I just want to remind the supervisors that Los Angeles is home to the largest community of Israeli immigrants outside of Israel. And too often, this community is forgotten or not recognized, and we're working hard to empower them and to get them more engaged in civic life in America. And as we do that, we're actually encountering more incidents of anti-Semitism. So we thank the supervisor for her leadership, and we thank each of you, and we've worked with you in the past, in your past positions, each of you. We look forward to working with you moving forward on this item and making it a success. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Patricia McAllister, let's first define anti-Semitism. I'm a teacher, so I must correct this. Black people are Semites, okay? Europeans are Ashkenazis from the hills and caves of Europe. So let's get that straight. Now, if you really want to see what Semitism, anti-Semitism looks like, you go to Skid Row and see 60,000 of my people laying on the street. Now, how did they get there? When they go to those social service agencies looking for food and housing, they get referred to Skid Row. They just didn't walk down to Skid Row on their own. They got referral slips telling them to go to Skid Row. That's how we got 60,000 down there. That's anti-Semitic. We are the Semites, okay? Our identity has been stolen. Now, why would somebody get angry with the Jews, so-called the alleged Jews? Because you're doing wrong. The Jews sent them down to Skid Row. You're doing bad things, okay? You're doing things that is racist, and the Jews are behind it. Let's be honest about this. People are angry because they know what you're doing.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
So are we aware of the importance of ignorance as brought out by one of the board of members? Well, I concluded why. Because in the political arena, U.S. 395, 444, 1969, Brandenburg versus Ohio, I strongly believe that we should send the Jews back to Israel to save America. And now that's not hate speech. That's me educating you on a court case based on a Supreme ruling, and your ignorance, Miss Lindsay, is apparent by your gesture, because you're too ignorant to understand and comprehend justice, truth, and there's only one vision in the world, Batman to save you from this bullshit. 42 U.S.C. 1983. Send them back to Israel, bury the end.
Next speaker, please.
Where I submit my public record?
Next speaker, please.
Mike Greenspan. Hey, that remark, go back to Florida, you Jew, was made in Mommy Barger's district by a big, fat fuck named Harry Nears of his anti-Semitic,
That sign needs
anti-Christ
to be
Catholic
removed,
church.
please.
A Jew should not
we
have
can't
to
hear you.
appease a false Catholic doctrine.
Sir, you're
and
being
eat
disruptive.
fish on Friday. That's bullying.
Okay, that's your
Stinky
first
fish.
warning.
After
you're
all,
being
I've always
disruptive.
been bullied,
So
and
watch
I'm
your language.
standing up. It's taken a lifetime. No, I won't go back to Florida. I'm staying here. And you can take your anti-Semitic, anti-Christ Catholic attitude and stick it up your ass. I'm not moving. So say what you want. Remember, Jesus was born in a manger. There was no room in an inn. Mary and Joseph were Jewish. Go back to Galilee, you Jews, the innkeeper said to them. Well, guess what? Fuck you.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you, the Red Chief Hunt. I'm going to go back to James Brown. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. I go to the Jewish community as well and pray with them. I don't agree with none of that. People forcefully being derogatory to Jewish people, Everybody's human, everybody believes and things like that. So here's what I gotta say. I need an aye vote on this one, because knock off the nonsense. I understand free speech and I understand all that other stuff, but everybody is to be protected in the United States, even the Jewish community, because I pray with them as well. So give me an aye vote on this one. Thank you, Madam Chair, Red Chief Hunt.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
No other speakers, Madam Chair.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, item 2 is before us. Moved by Supervisor Horvath, seconded by Supervisor Mitchell to approve these items. This item, Executive Officer, please call the roll.
Item 2 is before you. Supervisor Solis.
Aye.
Supervisor Solis, aye. Supervisor Mitchell.
Aye.
Supervisor Mitchell, aye. Supervisor Horvath.
Aye.
Supervisor Horvath, aye. Supervisor Barger.
Aye.
Supervisor Barger, aye. Supervisor Hahn.
Aye.
Supervisor Hahn, aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to item 7, end the blockade of the Lachin Corridor, which was held by Supervisor Barger. For members of the public on the telephone, press 1, then 0 now to comment on this item. Supervisor Barger.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank Supervisor Horvath for co-authoring this motion with me. Since December 12th, 2022, the Azerbaijani government has blockaded the Lachin Corridor, blocking access to Artsakh. The Armenian name of this corridor is Berzor, and I think that's important to put on the record. The Armenian name is Berzor Corridor. Azerbaijan has willfully ignored their international obligations under the trilateral ceasefire statement of November 9th, 2020. This corridor is the only road connecting the world to Artsakh. The blockade has cut off 120,000 Armenians from food, medicine, and other supplies. This has been a particularly devastating impact on young people and children who are stranded in Yerevan, away from their families in Artsakh during the holidays. And I saw one documentary that showed a woman who was trying to get her son for cancer treatment, and the devastation on her family for life-saving cancer treatment because of this blockade. Many families spent New Year's Eve at the cemetery where Armenian soldiers are buried in prayer. Separation from families is a deeply painful issue for the Armenians, as it serves as a reminder of the atrocities committed against children and families who were tragically separated by the Turks during the genocide, resulting in thousands of children becoming orphans. In fact, on January 17th, Azerbaijani activists deliberately targeted 19 children that were moving from Armenia to Artsakh through the Russian peacekeeping mission. The Artsakh ombudsman noted that the Azerbaijani activists subjected the children to psychological violence and frightening the children. The targeting of children is especially heinous. This board has consistently, and I say this, every single one of us on this board has sponsored a motion supporting the Armenians, and we talk about the number of Israelis living here. LA County has the largest number of diaspora within the Armenian. And I know I represent, and I know you represent Little Armenia. But this board has been united in constantly opposing the unprovoked pattern of aggression by the Azerbaijani government over the last 2 years. We must continue to condemn the attacks on Armenia and stand in solidarity with the Armenian people. I would ask for my colleagues' support today, but there is no question in my mind when they deny what they're doing. My eyes saw it, and these are individuals that are documenting it that are literally humanitarian. They're not from Armenia, they're not Armenian. They are reporting the facts, and the facts are that the Azerbaijani government is purposely cutting off Artsakh and trying to once again, and I think it was said, and we're gonna have some speakers here today, genocide 2.0. And we have to stand in solidarity against that. But again, I wanna thank you, Supervisor Horvath, and I say this, I think every one of my colleagues would have co-authored this motion with me. So with that, I know we've got speakers here who are far more articulate because they speak from the heart, because they are and have family members that are impacted. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Horvath as the co-author.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. As we know, and as has been said since December 2022, the Azerbaijani government has blockaded the Lachin Corridor, blocking access to Nagorno-Karabakh, also known as Artsakh. The blockade has cut off 120,000 Armenians, including 30,000 children, 20,000 elderly, from food, medicine, and other supplies. The actions by the Azerbaijani government continue a long pattern of aggression And it's sad that we have to keep speaking out on this issue because we have been calling it out, and we know today and every day more must be done. In March 2022, Azerbaijani armed forces forced the displacement of more than 400 people from Artsakh, and since May 2021, Azerbaijani armed forces have continuously attacked the Republic of Armenia and occupied its internationally recognized sovereign territories.